Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 115. It's Iliya here, and as always it's such a pleasure to have you on my channel. And as you probably know, in this video we're gonna have a look at the market, how it developed this week, what opportunities did we have, and what we can potentially expect for the upcoming week. So it was actually a very nice trending week. We had some amazingly trending markets. Just Monday started with a little bit ranginess, a little bit choppiness, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday we had some beautiful continuation setups as well. So this week I wasn't really focused. I took only 3 or 4 trades on EU. I took a lovely sell that I'm gonna show you that banked me around 5.7 R or something like this. I took a break even, then I took 2 losses on Thursday. That day literally smashed me. I got a headache from that price action. And of course in this video I didn't make a trade setups breakdown video because I was traveling the past 2 days. So back at my home station right now, more work is gonna be coming. So make sure you are actually subscribed and hit the notification bell in order to receive all the future updates that I'm going to post. And yes, before we start, I want to mention that I've been trading some cryptos and I do it with Forex.com. It's an amazing broker with an amazing initiative, because if you choose their eco account, every lot that you trade goes towards planting 10 trees. And I really think that's an amazing initiative. So make sure to check them out and support them on their cost. Link will be down in the description. And if you already did, let's see what do we have for the week ahead. NFP is already over and we are about to get into some nice markets. All right, let's get started with a DXY, the US dollar currency index. So basically we're having a pretty interesting situation right here. If you remember, I was targeting this high right here for quite some time. This high got perfectly fulfilled, but how it actually got fulfilled, it really starts looking like a fake to me right now. Because we had this very strong bullish candle, and usually the next week we're either gonna expect a continuation up, maybe a little pullback, and then the next week continuation, but we had an inside bar. And again, I remember previous week what I told you about inside bars is usually we tend to have a breakout in the next week. So we marked the low, we marked the high, and right now we're breaking down below the low on the weekly time frame with some massive selling pressure. And again, what I also told you what I don't like about the dollar is that after this massive push to the upside, we started to kind of compress a little bit. And usually this is gonna get taken out first before we actually continue into the highs. So right now, what we're looking at is this little trend line. A lot of traders will be looking at this trend line that is currently finding support. But personally, as I do not really trade trend lines, I do think that if this little higher low right here does not hold, and if we have a close below, we're definitely going to expose a lower level, which is this one. Okay, so this is basically my longer term analysis on the DXY. I do start, although I was pretty bullish on the dollar, right now we have to start adapting a little bit, seeing that selling pressure, but still I have my last resort, which is this weekly higher low. So translating this information on the daily, what I also told you the previous week is that this was the actual higher low right here, because this is the higher low that actually broke structure and made the higher high. Then as you can see, we pulled back, we tried to create a higher low, but we failed. Bearish engulfing candle, and then as you can see for some time, I think it was actually Monday, we tried to find support, but it was just indecision candle. Then we wicked through that level, so it was like cool, this could be a fake out to continue higher. But then on Wednesday we actually created this high right here, and then we just started pumping down, and even down on Friday. Okay, so as I told you right now, this right here is the last resort. If this gets taken out below, then I do expect the market to actually break this low right here and to fill all of that empty space right there and to come and retest this little range where actually that big push started to the upside. Okay, so if I am right now to go on the foul again, you can see how I just do the top-down analysis, just seeing where the market is on the weekly, where is the real major level. And currently it's actually very interesting because we have to pay more attention to the weekly because we're staying at this major weekly higher low. Okay, not to say that the 4 hourly has turned completely bearish. So basically we should have only sold the dollar. The market, as you can see right here, tried to find support, and then we just broke to the downside, creating a lower low on the 4 hourly. Okay, so where is your lower high on the hourly, on the 4 hourly? There it is. Double top formation, go to a lower time frame. Those wicks right here are your lower time frame entries. Okay, what we do later is we continue to break structure to the downside, lower high, lower low, lower high, and right now we have a beautiful lower low into that weekly area. Okay, So basically all of this right here is irrelevant right now. What is relevant is this weekly demand or higher low formation, because right now if I zoom in on the 4-hourly time frame, we're just bearish. Okay, and where is my last lower high? It's right here. I might even actually drop it as supply like this, because this is definitely supply. Why? Because it created like this base and then we dropped to the downside, breaking structure with momentum. And yes, so pretty curious to see how this is gonna play out. Again, we can have a lot of scenarios right there. So for me, again, the key is to really monitor the market on Monday, see what's it gonna do, and eventually a beautiful reversal setup will be. Maybe we can respect the supply at first, we can pull back, fail to make a new lower low, and then to actually break and make a new higher high. And from there, we can start looking for the longs, okay? If the market respects this one and continues to break lower, then we're just short, okay? The market could also maybe fake a little bit lower and then start breaking structure above. But basically, guys, if you want to go long, absolutely wait for confirmation. Absolutely 93, 92, 300 should be broken, closed above, and you should start seeing some bullishness start to kick in. Because right now, if I go on the hourly time frame, we're having a push, a pullback, so we should be looking immediately for shorts. Okay, so basically this is my plan on the DXY, a little bit vague because I'm not telling you like a real bias right now, and what I'm telling you is the scenario that I would love to play out. Okay, so my greatest tip to you right now will be observe how the market develops into this weekly range right there. If we break below, then cool, we go short. If we actually hold and start breaking above, then we go long. Okay, we adapt. So make sure to stay tuned for Tuesday, where I'm gonna break down how Monday played out and see what we can potentially do. Let's have a look at EU. So again, pretty similar, well, actually the same, but just in reverse price action to the DXY, where we had this low. This low was beautifully taken out with this bearish engulfing candle. Then we had a bullish candle, and right now we're having a beautiful continuation to the upside. Still, again, I tried to take shorts again simply because everything was looking short, and we're still kind of within this weekly lower high, and we had the weekly higher low on the DXY. So exactly the same situation right here. But again, I do not like this compressed price action. Very similar to the DXY, we started compressing, and I do think right now we can create this. Why? Because you can see once the market starts compressing, we usually have a massive move outside. And I do think actually this one is going to happen. And we're potentially going to come to retest around 1.2500. Okay, so this will be the overall target, this little empty space right here. Not to say that we can come and retest this little region right here. And if you also have a look, if this push created a lower low, which it did, what I always tell you guys, drop your range. Okay, where are we currently in the range? We're below the 50%. So basically the highest probability shorts for the euro will be right here inside this box. So right now, I do think in terms of weekly, we could really focus on longs and shorts on the dollar. So as you can see right now, we are simply creating this double top, reacting from this either resistance or supply. But have a look how we're just getting inside, like massive bullish pressure. We had a lower high, lower low. The lower high was violated. So basically right now we are in a reversal even from the daily. Okay, so this definitely looks bullish, definitely. Where we can potentially pull back, well, again, if this whole push is a daily move, what we can do is we can drop the range, and we can expect maybe the market to dip below the 50% and then to continue. This is 100 pips, so EU does not usually move that much. You can see this week since Monday from the low to the high, we moved 130. So if the market is actually gonna dip right here, we can have a whole bearish week of pullback, and then we can potentially expect the next one to actually enlarge to the upside. Okay, but yeah, this is a little bit longer term. So right now we should go to the hourly and see what we have there if it loads. Right, there it is. So again, you can see just massive expansion, massive trending market since actually like August, 20th of August, we just started to massively pump to the upside for quite some time. And this market does need a nice correction to the downside. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead right now and just break down the trades that I took this week, so you can actually see the opportunities that I had, and then I'm actually gonna go back and maybe kind of reanalyze what could potentially happen. So there is a trade that actually broke down on my Instagram in this kind of format. So again, this was Monday's price action. I did not trade on Monday. We simply built like liquidity. Then we just started pumping up. Then we started pumping up again. And my main focus was this 4-hourly level. There was this level right here that I consider to be a really strong supply like this. And yes, the first trade that I took was a break even. So it was when the market just kissed that level, tapped inside it, and I started looking for the shorts, okay? But as you can see, it actually hit TP, the TP that I wanted to take, but first it took me out at break even, and then it went for the TP, okay? And then I saw the market starting pumping again into the highs during the New York session, and then I actually took the short. Could have held it, but of course in hindsight, it's too easy to say could have. There are never could haves. If your plan says target here, you target there. But as you can see, then we went into the extremes right here, and then we basically reversed into the highs. So if I go on the 1 minute, which is where I took the trade, let me find it. Where is it? What is happening? There we go. So yes, basically this one was a pretty simple, again, market structure shift, trading very nicely into the highs. Then we created this little pullback, higher low, higher high right here. We created these little flat tops. We had a beautiful buy and then a big sell-off that invalidates the structure. Pullback, another sell-off that really shows me that the sellers are stepping in. Then my next task is to find where do I enter from. I have my rules for that. It is right here again, and the trade would execute it from right there. I'm gonna share my MT4 stats so you can see them as well, and gave a lovely reaction. Then what I didn't like about this is that we found support or demand from this area, but of course we build up those really nice flat lows. So I knew that this one is gonna get taken, but after seeing like lower high, failed to make a lower low, higher high right here of the substructure, right here, higher high, higher low, again, I was like, I'm going break even. And then the market just simply went and tapped me out of break even. And what is happening right now? Right, so it tapped me out of break even right here, and then it flushed again. So then even if I held it after this break of structure, I would have went break even, and then it would have been stopped me out of break even again. Okay, but of course, in hindsight, I could have, if this is a lower low, then this is my lower high. So I could have taken a trade from here and then to nail it again to the downside. But this was just simply a break-even trade, which is perfectly fine. And then we started raging into the highs. And this is actually the trade that I broke on my Instagram. Again, higher low formation right here, higher high, break of the first higher low, which is pretty nice. Then this becomes our first lower high that actually broke structure to the downside, break here, break there. Further momentum kicking in right here. So again, in hindsight, this could have been a trade right here, this could have been a trade right here, and this could have been a trade right here as well. But then I looked for the clear momentum that kicked in, pullback, lower high formation, executed the trade from right here. Gonna share the stats as well. And then it was just a massive dump to the downside. I was targeting these lows, so I took 70% of my profits right there, and then the plan was to actually leave the other to run into this area. But I'm gonna tell you how I actually adapt it. I think it's too much 1 minute, something that I have to work on. But basically the market initiated the pullback, okay? We massively pumped into the highs, we shifted the structure right there, we left this beautiful demand level, and this was a beautiful long that I actually thought of taking. So what I did, guys, is I closed all of my position exactly right there. You can maybe see it on the MT4 stats as well. And then what happened, the market broke structure up, pullback, higher low formation, and then this could have been a lovely long. But what the market did is it just broke this little high to maybe take out some stop losses or anything like this. And then we created another massive dump to the downside. So it was first a massive dump and another massive dump. So really lovely price. On this day, it was really lovely. Could have even taken this buy right here, but I was pretty happy with, I think, around 5.7 hour in total, something like this. So this is Tuesday. On Wednesday, I did not trade. I was at the hospital that time doing my PCR test because I was traveling. And basically, the trade that day was this one right here. My community smashed this trade. So I think we had a 1 to 12 or maybe even more. But yes, it was simply taken from here. Stop loss below. Why? Because we broke the Asian low, we broke the previous daily low, massive impulse to the upside that also broke structure above, and we also had an hourly close. This is an hourly price action to the downside. This was also an hourly close above, so this was just a pullback into the next hourly candle, and then we just massively impulsed into the highs. As for targets, well, it really depends where you want to hold it to and how you trade your stop loss, but even if you trail your stop loss, you could have nailed a banger trade because you have higher lows right here, higher lows right here, higher lows right there. So if your stop loss was right here, this does not stop you out. Then you continue to push. Then your stop loss is right here. This does not stop you out, right? This one, and then you pump into the highs. So basically you could have stopped out right here for a lovely 16R. So I'm pretty pissed because this was actually the trade of the week. Every week there is one trade that really goes, and I happen to not be at the charts, but I'm pretty glad that my community actually smashed this trade. And of course there are a lot of trades in between right here, but I didn't take any, so I'm not gonna go into detail. And then we go on to Thursday. That day really slapped, well, yeah, it was just a mad day, even during London. Pretty messy price, I guess, pre-NFP or something like this. So the Asian range, what I failed to recognize, but yes, we were still in Asia, but we kind of created this little dip to the downside, and then we massively impulsed into the highs, and then we started kind of slowing down. So I thought I'm gonna take a short and maybe target the Asian lows. Okay, so that was my initial plan. The setup was not lovely though. So again, you can see, like, have a look at that price. Have a look at the past trade that I showed you and have a look at this. This is a complete mess, okay? And simply what I think is that the market perfectly remained bullish, but then I saw that the market failed to make a new high, but this was again simply a double top to be targeted later. And then what I observed is that the market started shifting, push, pullback, lower low. Then I saw this wick and I was like, cool, the market is gonna come inside this wick and then reverse. So I took a trade from here. You're gonna see my empty floor as well. My stop loss got executed right here, which is for 3.2, and my stop loss was actually 2.5. So that big push to the upside actually took me with a slippage. So I suffered a little bit bigger loss, but it's not a problem, okay? Then after seeing that the market closed above, because if I go on the 15-minute, this is a close above, I wanted to take a long trade, okay? So then as what the market did is it created a lower low right here. So this is my lower high. Then I saw that supply failed and we created a push, higher high, higher low, higher high. So I was like, cool, it is ready. So what I did is I executed from here from the phone. So I wasn't really trading as I was supposed to. And as you can see, my entry was a little bit off. Should have entered right here somewhere. And I allowed a slightly bigger stop loss below these structures. And as you can see, the market lovely took me out, pushed into the highs, failed to break lower, and then possibly could have taken me out again. But then in hindsight, I should have persisted with my long trade, but I wasn't at the charts because we have a push, pullback, lower high, lower low, break of structure, and even break of this structure, higher high, higher low, there is your trade. Right here is your lovely long trade. And then we just massively impulse into the highs. And there is also another one right here, just following the flow and following the structure, okay? But 2 losses right here on London, and I didn't trade New York because I was doing also something else. So this is basically my week, guys, but I'm pretty excited to actually get back at it right now. Full focus, but still ending up with profit, which is the most important thing, okay? Back to the analysis. It's 11 minutes into the EU video, so I hope you're not bored at that time. But basically, I'm just not gonna look on the left, but know that we're potentially headed to breaking this high, which we kind of faked a little bit. But in terms of the 4 hourly, it's very tricky because even this is a higher low. Why? Because it broke structure, okay? Then we have the next one, which is right here, which is also a very nice demand. But yes, the NFP price action right here wasn't really nice. It's pretty sloppy. So guys, again, my biggest tip will be let the market develop, okay? Because it can go numerous ways. We can maybe first break the high and then start to trade down, because you can see we're having a massive weekly candle and this little area right there has been left unretested. So we can maybe have, again, as I told you, on the DXY, we can have, let's say, a pullback week, which means to the upside, and we can have a pullback week on euro as well. So let's have a look, keep those 2 levels in check right there, basically looking for the longs overall. But if we start breaking structure and if the hourly starts to trend to the downside, like it's trending to the upside, like right here, then we can potentially start catching some shorts and maybe ride it into this weekly area that I just mentioned. So a little bit long analysis on EU, but make sure to stay tuned for Tuesday where I'm gonna break it down again. Let's have a quick look at EJ, which is pretty much kind of the same situation. We're having this weekly lower high right here, and right now the market has actually broken above it, or just kind of took the stop losses or liquidity or anything that is above right there, and we left a little wick right here. So I'm pretty curious to see how the next week is gonna play out. I was calling longs on EJ, I believe, even on Tuesday, so there was a lovely long that could have been taken. And again, as you can see, since Monday we had bullish, and then on Friday we just had that little pullback right there. So what I think actually on this market is that even on EU, after those massive pumps on both pairs, we are in need of some sort of a pullback, because you can see it looks like a straight line to the upside, and the market usually does not do this, right? And if I really zoom in to just, because this is how I trade, I'm zoomed in like that. I usually do not look at the market like this. What happened right here? I'm like this, really zoomed in. So basically what do we have is we have a higher low formation, also that created demand like this. You can even take all the wicks. The market has already tapped inside and rejected. So basically you can right now drop to the hourly time frame to see if you can get any longs. The hourly time frame is already kind of in a complex correction or already shifting the structure to the downside, because those are two things. This is like the most asked question that I have. What is a complex correction? What is substructure, minor structure, and major structure? Okay, so basically on the full hourly, there is your major. On the hourly is changing right now, so you can start taking the shorts. But yeah, you could have taken a short already from here, which is already gone, and a short already from here, which is already gone. Okay, so basically right now our focus should be if this full hourly level will actually hold, and if you're gonna, for example, break hourly structure, come back and retest and continue higher. Okay, but I kind of have a feeling after breaking down EU and going on to EJ right now that we are in need of a bearish pullback. So we can also, what we could have is we can have a pullback, lower high, and a continuation lower. Okay, and this is something that this is also a great scenario that could develop as well, because we're definitely need to retest some of those unretested levels to the downside. Okay, so EJ, technically it's still bullish. We broke this high right here on the weekly. We're also tapping into a very nice area that I just see right now. Right here, this is a big buy and a big setup that caused also a lower low. So definitely I'm gonna be watching out for shorts on EJ as well. But first of all, I would also love a full hourly close below, or at least a clear hourly trend and structure to the downside. So let's see, stay tuned for Tuesday. And this is currently the simple analysis for EJ. Let's have a look at the Aussies, which are having a massive bull run, and I do think that this is caused because of this very strong weekly demand area. So what is the psychology behind is that they accumulated, the big boys accumulated their positions right here, massively pushed the market up for a couple of thousand pips to the upside, then they returned all the way down, massive bearish engulfing into the zone, and then we have a massive reversal right here that also caused a break of structure. Basically, this is the weekly lower high that is currently closed above with a body close. Okay, so definitely nothing to say. Bullish on the Aussie, absolutely bullish. The question is right now, are we gonna have a little pullback? Massive engulfing candle right here. No retested level right there. So basically, I would really love to see maybe a week or maybe at least a couple of days of pullback to create some sort of a wick to the downside and then to potentially impulse into the highs. I want to see something like this, let's say this one. So we have a bullish engulfing candle, and have a look at that wick, how it nicely formed to the downside, and then we started pumping up. So I'd rather like to see something like this, or something like this, a whole week of a pullback. So we had a massive bearishness, and then we had a bullish week of pullback, and then we continued to go lower. Okay, so maybe we can have a bearish week of pullback, and then for the upcoming week we can continue going long. Okay, so on the daily, nothing too much to say. Like Monday just ranged, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday just without a stop. Okay, so what I can do on this pair is drop my range right from the low to the high, which the high is not yet formed because it hasn't stopped. And basically right here, somewhere right there, we could have some nice long opportunities. But then if I drop to the 4-hourly time frame, like just look at that. It's just pumping up, and I even struggle to identify where the high low is. Like we had very little slowdown right here. The better one is right here. So guys, on the Aussie, it's just pumping up, and I would be, yeah, I really don't want to go long anymore on this one, because it's also starting to tap into some levels on the left. It caused the break. It's been pushing for quite some time in a straight line, so we should be stopping. Okay, right here from the high to the low, we pushed for 6 days, and we went around 300 pips, and right now we are been pushing for 14 days. Okay, that's a little bit more, and we are up. Okay, I couldn't see it, but basically I would love to start expecting a little bit of a pullback, deeper pullback on the Aussie. but so far we are long. So this is the first level, this is the second level, and if we start pulling back towards those levels, and if we start seeing some nice rejection and some change of structure on the lower time frames as well, then we can potentially continue with the long buys. Okay, but if we start having the shifts of structure on the 4 hourly, if we have the MSS formation, which I tell you about in my free market structure course, then we can definitely start looking for the longs. So my thoughts on the Aussie USD is just give it some time, start being careful with taking longs because we're getting a bit too extended right now. AJ is exactly the same. Like right now, where is our higher low? Well, this is a little bit clearer because we simply had a little pullback right there. So as long as the market stays above this structural level, I am long bias. So let's see how we're going to pull back right here. Are we going to have any shift in the lower time frames in order to have a long trade? But same thing right here. We are breaking above the weekly lower high. On the daily, we're massively expanding to the upside, also breaking the daily supply level right here, and basically we are also in a need of some little pullback right there. Well, not little, we're in need of a of 170 pips pullback, or is it 100? Yeah, something like this. But the range is a little bit lower on AJ. So let's see. Basically, this is the higher low. This is where I'm going to be looking for longs. And if this one breaks, then we start looking for shorts. Okay. And this is the actual formation that you also want to see on the 4 hourly. Higher low, higher high, break of the higher low, pullback, lower high, lower low. And then from here, we start looking for the shorts. Okay. The hourly time frame is already doing that, but it's also done it here. But it was just a pullback for the market to continue in the full hourly direction, and it never broke the structure. Okay, so there are a lot of things that you should consider, and it's pretty hard to explain in a video like this. Okay, that's why I have a complete program and teaching this. Cool. So this is AJ and the Aussies. So let's look how they replay out, but let's see if we're gonna have also a deeper correction. The exact same thing we also have on the NZDs. Again, a bearish engulfing candle, a bullish candle right here. That is an inside bar, and a very nice breakout right now that is also breaking weekly lower highs. So pretty significant bullishness. The daily is completely smashed. All of this consolidation was cooking for the market to sell off below it, to trick the sellers. And right now the buyers are actually starting to step in. Okay. But yes, on the 4 hourly time frame, this is even harder. Like, look at that straight line. This is not nice. Okay, so definitely, guys, it's a bit too hard. And what I'm gonna advise you, actually, even if you're watching this right now after AU, is to use the hourly time frame a little bit more right now. Okay, because yes, the 4 hourly is extended, but the 4 hourly is already way too extended. So if you start using the hourly and use the most recent levels, you're gonna have a little bit of a higher probability to actually catch some moves. Okay, and basically if this is the last clear demand on the hourly, if this one breaks and if we start changing the structure on the hourly, then I'm gonna go short, because this is definitely in need of a big pullback. We have unretested ranges right here, unretested here, unretested there, and even lower. Okay, so all of this should be rebalanced, and usually if you have a massive pump like this, the market should come down, fill the empty space like that, and then just continue to push higher. You're gonna see this everywhere. Okay, the market does not just go down without going back up again. Okay, so basically those are my thoughts both on the Aussies and the NZDs. We are in need of some sort of pullback, but how are we gonna approach this one? Well, simply is just by waiting. Okay, the 4 hourly higher low, it's not even here. It's something like this right now. But as I told you, my biggest tip right now will be to focus on the hourly. Okay, so there is the hourly level. If we come inside right here, let's look for the longs, which I think it's a low probability because simply we're too extended. Okay, so maybe we can have a high, lower low, lower high, and then we can start pushing to the downside. So again, on the NZDs and on the Aussies, I am giving them some time to really show me how they're gonna reverse here. Are they gonna continue to carry to the upside? But I do think we should have a little bit of a pullback. Okay, NJ, same story. Where is the higher low? Well, we already wicked into the higher low, which is right here. We already wicked into it, and basically those wicks are creating a higher low on the hourly, which is not really clear. So in terms of NJ, I will definitely give it some time. And I would love to see a clear impulse into the lows, breaking structure, pullback, confirmation for the lower high, and then I can just simply start to look for the shorts going back all the way down. Okay, so let's see how Monday is gonna play out on those pairs. But right now the analysis is pretty much impossible because we're just pushing to the upside. There are no clear levels, and of course it depends on your strategy and how you want to trade. If you're trading breakouts, then cool, but if you're trading like I do, then you have to wait for some sort of a clear market structure. Okay, so those are the Aussies and the NZDs. USD/JPY is still in the same mess, so we're having an overall rejection from the upside on the weekly and a bearish week overall, but it's pretty hard to actually decide where this market wants to go because, again, in the past I think 2 volumes it's been hard to determine the direction. We're kind of in this triangle right now, and the market has respected also this. Kind of failed to break above this one, and right now we're in this correction. So where are we gonna go, to the upside or to the downside? This is the biggest question. It also depends on the DXY. If we expect the DXY to have a bullish week right now, which is that bullish pullback before continuing down, and on EU a bearish pullback, then that means that we might impulse to the upside. Who knows? If I try to go on the 4-hourly time frame, it's a mess because the 4-hourly time frame is, we pushed into the highs. Basically, this then becomes our higher low formation. Push into the highs, then we push into the higher low formation, but we're already almost broken it. And again, if we have a look again, even if we zoom in further, we had this pullback low, and this is a lower low right now because we broke below this low right here. But this is really trying to force something right now. But also what I might advise you to do is go on the hourly time frame, which is kind of range. We pushed into the lows, but we failed to break below this low right here, which could get broken into the beginning of the week. But yes, on EUJ, my biggest tip again will be to wait for something to make sense. Okay, because if this market doesn't make sense, if you just cannot figure out what is happening, then potentially you should not be trading it. Okay, and currently I do not know what's happening, so I'm not trading it, right? So let's give it some time. Hopefully some news or some sort of shakeout will occur so that we know what's actually going to happen. But yes, I do not want to throw any bias. I do think that I'm more bullish than bearish on it because simply like we had this sell-off, we had this buy that kind of broke structure, pullback, maintained above this. So we can say that this is a kind of a shift, higher low. Consolidation, so maybe we can overall go up, but let's see. I don't want to call anything right now because simply I'm not sure, and I'm just waiting for some more clear price action. All right, let's have a look at the GBP starting from GU. Well, overall we're having a bullish week, some nice opportunities on GU this week as well. And the question is right now, where are we headed? Well, I do think that we're headed to the upside, and the potential like longer term targets could be this high or 1.40. Something like this, okay? But this is too long term for us as day traders. So what I really love about this pair is that right here we had a break of structure. So this created a higher high. We went all the way down to retest this little level, which is basically the higher low. We respected it, and then we started breaking structure. So only this kind of structure from the daily should be telling you that this market is going up. And according to me, we are about to be creating a higher high right here at 1.40. So then the question is, how do we get there? Okay, so if you aren't already running a long, then potentially I would expect the market to retrace down. But where to? Well, let's look on the daily. Where did that daily push start? Well, it's a bit too hard because you can catch it from the bottom, but then we had a push, a pullback, and basically from the bottom, the market already pulled back into 50%. So then the next push starts from right here, okay, and maybe to right there. So, or you can even take it like this. But basically what I want to say right now is that we are in a need of a pullback, okay? So what my plan actually is to see where can potentially the market reverse from. Well, this is a really strong demand right here, and we have run exactly above it like this. Currently we are at the higher high, so the higher low is somewhere right there. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop to the hourly time frame. So have a look, there is our hourly demand, and make sure to mark them. So let's have a look how it's gonna play out, because we can simply tap inside this demand, we can reverse it, we can start playing up, but usually GU is not that easy, okay? What I think is gonna happen is we might have a reversal pattern somewhere right here, and then we can just respect this level, then we can start heading lower and lower, and then we can tap into those levels, and from there we can actually start to look for that long-term reversal, okay? Because my call is that before actually reaching this level, we should have a pullback. Okay, and by pullback we can have something like this, of course, this whole bearishness, this bearishness right there. GU is usually like this, okay? Or maybe a little correction like that, okay? But right now we are perfectly bullish, so we should remain bullish as long as we stay above this little structure right there. So my plan is to just let Monday play out, see how it's gonna go. Are we gonna just consolidate maybe right now? Are we gonna tap inside? Are we gonna have a reaction but then a failure to make a new higher high, which is basically gonna signify a potential reversal? And if I just start to kind of explain all the scenarios, it might take me 20 minutes. So again, what is my tip? Is just flow with the market. Have your levels marked and just follow the structure. If you start breaking structure below, then take shorts and know where to stop. Because basically, yeah, I think we can, just looking on the hourly as well, maybe I should drop to the 4-hourly. Yeah, the overall move starts from right here. Like we had a push, this pullback already occurred. So basically my range will be from down there to right here. So I will be looking for the market to dip below 50%. Beautiful empty space, beautiful wick to be retested, and also all the demand levels are right there. Okay, so I'm gonna try to short the market into those levels right here, something like this maybe, and then to potentially start looking for longs as it gets down there. Okay, so that is my plan on GU, but it's pretty complex. So let's wait for the market to develop and see how we can strike on it. GJ is kind of the same as well, already in that push phase on the weekly time frame, but yes, still you can see we still have that bearish aspect of it. We had a push, lower low, lower high, failed to make a new lower low. It just went into this wick, and again this wick is kind of the same as GU. We respected that daily wick right there, this daily demand, and right now we're headed higher. So if we're headed higher, we should be headed to make a new higher high. But then again, you can see that we do not have the impulsive nature. I want you to compare the push to the downside and right now the push to the upside. I bet you're gonna say that the push to the downside is stronger than the push to the upside is, okay? And that suggests that the momentum is still to the downside. But if you have a look on the 4-hourly time frame, we have some beautiful longing opportunities, right? So currently, where is our higher low? It's right here. So as long as the market remains above it, I'm gonna be looking for longs. So if the market comes inside right here, if it gives me the reversal signal on the lower time frames, then definitely I'm gonna strike for longs, okay? Also a very nice flat high right here to serve as target later. So let's see how this one is gonna play out, guys, right? Demand is right here, higher low is right here. Potentially we can still have some upside on GJ, and if this one breaks, then we might potentially actually be headed lower. Okay, so let's see. This is the setup that I currently have on GJ. GBP AUD, lovely trending markets to the downside. I hope the GA lovers, and you know that I'm not one of them, are capitalizing nicely on this market because it looks pretty nice. Push, pullback, lower high, lower low, lower high right there. Push, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Beautiful opportunity right here on Friday, and then we just dump to the downside. So what is incoming on this one? Well, I'm not sure how GA moves, but I would say pullback maybe, or just a wick pullback. So what I mean by wick pullback is the next weekly candle opens, pushes into the highs to create a wick, and then continues to go down, and then it leaves a wick like this. Okay, so this is something that I'm gonna be looking at, and in terms of weekly, I can see that we have a lovely demand level right here. Daily doesn't make too much sense, but the 4-hourly is perfectly to the downside. So where is our lower high? It's right here, right? So if the market pulls back towards this lower high, then I believe we should be looking for sells into that weekly demand. Okay, so that is also my setup on GA. And Euro GBP is still absolutely messy for me personally. I actually had the same analysis the past week as the week before that, but right now we actually broke above this high, but we broke in a very strange manner. We wicked first, then we pushed again, but then we started breaking structure to the downside. So I do think that we should be headed towards these levels to retest, which means bearishness on Euro GBP, which means bullishness on GU. Yeah, that's true, but if GU is so bullish, then why is Euro GBP not so bearish? Well, it's because it's a combination of Euro USD and GBP USD, and when both of those pairs are pushing up, this one is a little bit of a mess. Okay, so basically I am even not sure how to break this pair down. Most recently, we had this little lower high, we had a push down, a pullback, and right now we have a break of structure right there. Okay, so I can say that I'm bearish, and if I drop to the hourly time frame, what I can say is that if you pull back right here, if you create a lower high, then I can be looking for the shorts. Okay, we have this trend line right here. That is looking pretty lovely. We're already below this trend line, but I do think we should also go below this low right here. So I can say that I'm more bearish than bullish on Euro GBP, but of course it's entirely unclear to me. And guess what, guys? When something is unclear, we do not trade it. Okay, so if I was trading Euro GBP, I would say I would wait for something more clearer to strike. And basically this is the plan. Overall, my main pair is GU. I'm bullish on the pair, but I would expect a little bit of a pullback. So I would love to have a little bit of a sell-off into those levels right there from where I'm going to be taking longs. So again, for intraday traders, I would suggest that we look for shorts into the beginning of the week. But of course, it really depends on how the market opens and how it sets up. And that's why you should be tuned in for my Tuesday analysis on Telegram. All right, so that's the GBPs. Let's have a look at some other instruments right now. Let's have a look at gold, in which we're having another lovely bullish week. Again, what you can see is the formation that I tell you a lot about, that wick to the downside at the beginning of the week to create the pullback, and then potentially the market continuing into the highs. We're still yet about to break this high, so I do think that we should be having another bullish week right there. And as you can see, basically that the bullish push happened on Friday on NFP. So the question is, after we are actually at these highs right there, are we going to start heading higher, or are we going to maybe create a little bit of a deeper pullback to the downside? Because this price action is getting a little bit too compressed. And when the market gets compressed, it's usually then to become liquidity and to get taken out. Okay. So again, not an expert on gold, but this level was tapped. I was looking at this level that it didn't tap. So basically I want to shift this onto the daily and make it a daily level like this, because I want to look at gold for more from a longer term. So basically what is happening? So basically if we have a push into these levels right there, we can definitely have a bullish week. Okay, but is this gonna happen the next week, or we can potentially just, if you go to the hourly the 4 hourly right now, let's say we're having a higher high. So what we could have is the market to pull back towards this level to create a higher low formation, and then to potentially start heading higher above these levels, and then to potentially retest this little range and this little weekly unretested area. Okay, so this is my outlook on gold. Overall bullish. The biggest question is where and how do we take a trade from? Okay, so first level is right there. If this one fails, then I'm going to be looking at that one for potential longs. So let's see how next week is going to open, and let's see how gold is going to develop. Let's have a look at some indices. So US 30 has been chopping around for quite some time, which means that it is cooking for something. Okay, when those things start to accumulate like this to create these flat highs and flat lows, usually something is cooking. So it's either gonna be a little crash to the downside, which I would love to have. So basically these things right here are irrelevant. So the level that I will be looking at is this one right there. So if we dip inside this whole level right there, I would be interested to buy this market, okay? And then to potentially target a new high. But let's see how it's gonna play out. It's definitely awaiting something, maybe some earnings reports or something like this. So let's see how this is gonna play out. But basically I have my buy level right here. This one has already been taken, and we're just creating this support and this little resistance right here. So let's see, I would definitely love to have something like this. NASDAQ, of course, is just pumping into the highs. It's also creating a little bit of a range, so I would appreciate a little crash into this little level right there, which is a daily level and a 4 hourly level as well. We did not pull back towards these ones, but of course, this is a buy, and if this buy doesn't get respected, this is a buy, which will probably get respected, because at that time, the market would have dipped around 4%, which is absolutely lovely, okay? So again, that is my analysis on NASDAQ, looking for a little dip, because looking at how orders and how it's stacking up right now, it's definitely waiting for something. And S&P pretty much as well. I would love to have that dip. From the high to the low, it's around 3%. So that would be a lovely buy right here. As of right there, 1.40, I do not think it's a valuable buy, to be honest, knowing where the market is, how extended it is to the upside. But basically, yes, I'm looking for any dip on those indices in order to buy. Pretty sad that I missed this dip right there. But of course, the next one is incoming, so let's wait for it. But those are my two levels to work with. Bitcoin hitting 50K, so pretty nice. I told you previous week that we had a little bit of a complex correction. Then you can see the market actually failing to break below, creating a higher low. And then we impulse into the highs, little pullback, and right now we're just starting to trend higher, okay? So basically Bitcoin is a little bit hard to analyze and trade because of its volatility, of course, and it's really how to say, you should really adapt to it, because you can see at a point we are going down. So this is a short, this is a short, this is a short, then we kind of tap into a level and then we just explode to the upside, and then this is a long. Okay, so basically I do not want to go really in depth into Bitcoin analysis right here, but yes, overall, if I have a little pullback, so right now my major level is right here, so I can basically remove this one, which wasn't tapped. We are staying in this big supply, which looks like it's not getting respected, and I do think actually Bitcoin should continue going higher because Ethereum is just exploding. Okay, so if you remember, I told you I took my profits at I think 3.3 right here. 3.3 was I banked. Not a big, but let's say half a portion of my portfolio in Ethereum. And then I was looking for a little pullback, but the market did not give me that pullback. So right now I'm having the majority of my holdings in great profit, and the other profit from right here not reinvested. So really curious to see how it's gonna go. I do think with this massive momentum right now, we might be headed for a new equity highs right here. But first of all, I would really love actually right now, after this supply is broken, then we need to find the demand, which is overall here. Okay, so if Ethereum right now pulls back to around 34, I'm gonna be buying it. Okay, so that is my analysis. But if not, then I'm just holding the holdings and then staying cash, or just looking to invest it into something else. Okay, so that is the plan, and this is how I'm gonna wrap up this weekly outlook and setups, guys. Of course, if you found value, you know, hit the like button. Of course, leave me a comment, because I always love hearing your comments. Give me some suggestions for future videos as well. I'm gonna start posting a little bit more. Maybe I'm gonna go into psychology as well. I'm gonna be working right now really hard on revamping the program that I have, because we've adapted a lot. There are some new things that we've introduced, and I'm gonna remove some things that we no longer use. So actually right now it's the best time to get into the community and really start learning with us. Okay, so make sure to also stay tuned for my Tuesday analysis on Telegram, and have an amazing weekend and a crushing week ahead of you.